welcome to the Worldpackers podcast. My name is Clarissa, and like many of you, my journey with Worldpackers began with that itch to see the world, but on my own terms. That took me to volunteer in over 4 countries, from a homestay in Australia to a hostel in Cambodia. Now I'm a current undergraduate at Yale. I'm always exploring the intersection of travel, community, and purpose, which is why I'm so incredibly honored to be kicking off this show with the two people who turned a simple idea in California into a global movement. I'm here with the founders of Worldpackers, Rick Lima and Eric Faria. Rick, Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Clarissa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Clarissa.
All right, so Rick and Eric, before you built a company that encourages people to step outside their comfort zones, you were both on very traditional paths: investment banking and accounting. I see so many of my peers at Yale feeling that pressure to climb the corporate ladder, especially with the current job economy. And so I would love to start there with that feeling of being completely out of sync with your own life. What did your lives look like before Worldpackers? I mean, what kind of professionals were you, and what was it that made you feel like you were on the wrong path?
I studied economics at the university. I really like economics for sense of purpose, sense of understanding the world. Then I joined a bank, started working as an investment banker, where I was really good in terms of money, status, but inside myself, I wasn't truly happy. I really felt like traveling. Travel was a big dream of mine, but I didn't see how it could fit in the career where I would have to work many hours for a long time. So at some point, I decided to do that anyway, to travel the world and to really experience it and to learn from the world. So moving out of the traditional corporate world was a big step in terms of what my family thought, what my peers thought, but I was feeling truly happy in what I was doing. So that was how I thought about it. And Eric has a kind of a similar journey.
Yeah, funny thing, we used to have lunches together when back in the days when we were working in the corporate world. And I graduated in accounting. I became an auditor for banks and pension plans and investment banks and that. I was 23 years old. I graduated. I had my job, my career path was being successful on it. But I always had like in the back of my mind was always like, what about drawing? Because I draw since I was a little kid. What about drawing? What about like meeting other people, like being in another country? And at that time, I really wanted to learn English. I didn't know English at all, and it was pretty hard for me to go to work and then go to the English school. Most people just speak Portuguese. You're there for just 1 hour. It wasn't working for me. So I thought it was the best time to take a break. And I was like, okay, if I stay away from my career path for 2 years, let's say, and I come back with 25, I'm too young. So I have time to make mistakes. There was a lot of rush, right? Especially in the accounting field, a lot of rush to move forward and get a promotion and another role at the company, and you're gathering more stuff, you're making more money, right? And you kind of like it's easy to forget about your passions, what you are curious about, well, your dreams. And at that time, I was very scared, to be honest. It took me a couple months to make a decision, but that was what I was doing before I went traveling. I was an auditor, an accountant for banks. We used to share the same avenue block in São Paulo. We used to have lunch together. We used to talk about our careers, our doubts, and our dreams. He used to talk about going traveling since back then. I was more interested in learning English, having sort of an international experience at least. Like get a break, stop the deadlines, and surf and meet people and do something. Experience life. But yeah, very very similar career path.
And there was this idea. There was this idea that we couldn't do that, right? You have to stay on the path, especially like about 10, 15 years ago. There was beside also many people traveling and doing things like that. And we're always waiting for the perfect timing, and the perfect timing never arrives. The perfect timing to follow your passions, to experience something different. So the environment ends up leading what we think and how we decide. So the environment of that I was living at didn't make so much sense for me as what I was wanting to explore. So it's very easy to stay in a cycle, and leaving this cycle might be hard. So we stayed waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. So like learning a second language, following a passion, learning something new, we'll do that once we retire or when we're older. So right now, people are much more conscious about the limitations of time and the importance of testing new things and learning new things, especially the younger you are, better it is to do those things.
Wow, I feel like you both are just speaking to my doubts right now. I mean, I'm graduating in the spring and, being between New York and Boston, it's a very fast pace of life. And I feel like I'm also kind of, should I go that super like successful, like quote unquote successful route, or do I just chase my dreams? But that's really awesome to hear that, I'm not alone. I'm sure many of our viewers also feel the same way. So Rick, I know you traveled for 3 years for over 40 countries. Was there a specific moment that made you realize you didn't want to go back to your corporate life?
Yeah, I just comment a bit on your point before. I think sometimes it's also we think we need to drop everything and follow our passions or be happy. And I think what our story in Worldpackers is about is that you don't need to drop everything. You can align with your passions. You can do that for like a specific amount of time to experience it. So in my case, I thought I had to drop everything. So I quit the investment banking to traveling. So I got a one-way ticket. I traveled through Africa, through Asia. It ended up, as you mentioned, being 3 years. When I quit my job, I thought maybe I won't be able to go back to this life. But what ended up happening is that once I was traveling, I had many offers to go back. So sometimes we also think, no, if I do that, I won't be able to go back. And if I regret, and many times it's a mistake, because now you know more languages, you know more about flexibility, about patience, about sales, you know more about yourself. So I always had that in mind, that if anything goes wrong, I could go back to my corporate job. And that was true for the whole time. And it's still true to this day. So that's more than 10 years ago. It's still true, because like the experiences that you get traveling, like from languages to like people that you know, to skills that you make you even more valuable as a professional. So your CV, you improve your CV in those kind of trips. So there was never this moment of I will never do that. So I see now everything as a kind of a constant flow of decisions and path that I can take. But always very important for me to follow what my curiosity, what my passions, without having to choose between those. I can have both. I think we in Worldpackers we believe a lot in this, in the path of the middle, that you learn skills when you travel. You are more valuable as a professional too, but also you can enjoy and have fun. You don't need to wait long time. So aligning the passion with what the market wants is something that is possible nowadays.
Yeah.
And Clarissa, to the root of your question, where he was right when he decided to quit his job. Funny thing, I was a volunteer for a hostel in California, in San Diego, and he was being very successful in the investment banking. So the bank sent him to live in New York for a little bit, and he was doing like road shows and meeting with other investors in a very corporate bank, New York life, from the movies and everything. So, and he went down to San Diego to see me for 1 week. And I remember that he saw all the volunteers, the activities and everything. And I remember that I was on reception and he was like, oh, after a pub crawl, he was like, oh man, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and travel the world. And I was like, oh, all right, he's drunk, you know? And one week after that, he sent an email to all the friends, right? Back then, there was no Instagram, not much Facebook or anything like that. We were communicating through emails. And he sent an email to me and all our close friends like, hey, I just quit my job. I ran away on the streets, and I think he need to continue this story.
I was celebrating back then. is it the possibility of freedom. Sometimes we are so scared of the freedom, we're so looking for security and safety that we forget about freedom. My first experience traveling was in Utah. I went to a ski resort, worked as a waiter in a ski resort. Then, as Eric mentioned, I've been in New York as a banker. I've been in Spain learning Spanish. I was in San Diego when we started. So having those experiences really formed who I am today. So sometimes we remember also the fears of traveling, but we forget the benefits and the transformation of who we become. So I really like talking to those who live that, to give me feedback. And so sometimes many people that never did that, they have their opinions about it. So I spoke with many people who had lived the experience before. So that really inspired me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's super great life advice. And actually, that kind of brings me to the next thing I was wondering, which is just that aha moment in California. I mean, I think one of the most fascinating parts of any startup story is the origin. So, Eric, you mentioned that the two of you met in a hostel. I mean, walk me through that reunion. What were the dynamics like? I mean, one of you was a host, the other one was a traveler. When did you realize that you wanted to solve this problem with Worldpackers?
Yeah, great. So, as I said, I quit my job, right, to learn English, and I had a 6 month license from the company. I needed to go back to the company, right? And that was the motivation was to learn English abroad, right? And I went to Orlando, went to a traditional English school, find out homestay to stay, but it wasn't I wasn't experiencing anything. I was at home by myself. I would go to school. I would meet just Brazilians, people speaking Portuguese in that school. And my cousin, I was at his house, and he was like, Why don't you go to another place? Like, you need to go to California. You need to like see people. You need to get your hair cut, do normal conversations. Otherwise, you're not gonna learn. You know nothing. You need to make friends. He said like the best way is to work, make friends, and date someone. That's how you're gonna learn a lot faster, right? You need to get involved. That's what he meant. You need to get involved with people and stuff. So the English school didn't work out well. I wasn't learning. About one-way ticket to California. Randomly got to a hostel, stayed for 4 nights, and I saw the volunteers there. People just having a good time, very happy, doing different activities, interacting with people from many different nationalities, very informal, people with different accents and levels of English skills. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I need, because like learning at school, it's not gonna be fun. I won't meet this many people, and I won't test myself. And it was very clear for me that the real life experience, the real conversations, right? They demand more from you than like a whiteboard, right? A book. Like they demand fast response. Like they put in some discomfort situations, right? So I knew like, wow, this is gonna be fast learning for me. And I got lucky, one volunteer left. I met the manager. She's like, oh, you can come in, and stay. I stayed there for 2 years. During that time, Rick went to San Diego to see me. That's how we reunited in San Diego, and he said he was going to leave his company. I stayed for 2 years there, right? It was from 6 months. I quit my job through the phone, right? I took an MBA in this period of time, and I did many different things as Rick was saying. I I I I did a lot of art on the hostel walls. I took people on tours. I teach surfing. I share my skills. I follow my passions. I meet great people, smart people, people that open up different opportunities for me, right? Quit my job, stay for 2 years, and went back to Brazil. Went back to my old job. The company that I left, they called me. That's exactly what Rick said. Sometimes you are afraid of, oh, I'm gonna lose my career, blah blah blah. Like, no, you become more valuable. You
After
know,
two
you're more
years,
what?
after 2 years, they called you back.
Yes, and
Wow.
I went back. It was funny. I went back and the same job, right, with a higher position actually.
Hmm.
But once I got there, that's when I realized I was like, I'm different. I'm a different person. I'm aware of things I wasn't when I first took this job. Now I know other people. I know international people. I have places to stay around the world. Like I know people that they do great in life, people that I get a lot of inspired by, that they're doing completely different things. So it expands your conscious about yourself and the opportunities you have. And I was like, wow, I'm still pretty young, right? I was like, I'm super young. And at that time, uh, two of my friends from San Diego that I met through traveling, right, from the hostel, they decided to open their own hostel, right? And they call me, hey, you wanna come and be our partner? Like, amazing. That's what I'm looking for, right? And I left again the company. At this time, they're like, okay, now you're really crazy, okay? And went to San Diego, start helping the hostel, right, with Bob and James. And Rick was, I think at that time you were in Brazil or South America. Like he was doing like South America trip or something, right? And he
Yeah, I was
saw
in
like,
Lima. I was in Peru, Lima. I had traveled before. I learned French. I learned German on the road. So I always liked seeing trip as a self knowledge way, not just as a product. So being a volunteer. So Eric was managing the volunteers. So being a volunteer there and experience this like as a previous investment banker that spoke many different languages, really enjoying the environment, meeting people, and letting the trip transform myself. So very present with all the people, flavors, colors, languages, etc. So that moment was very transformational for me to experience that and to have the opportunity of doing that. And at the end of the day, it was very affordable, right? It was something that I would like to. I would pay so much for having that experience, but at the end of the day, it was so affordable. So it's something that really transformed me.
yeah, and like because we were friends from way back, and we were both from the banking industry, right? We were supporting each other in each other's journey. Like he used to send me messages on Facebook. Then Facebook came up. He used to like send messages on Facebook. I still have those messages, like motivating me. Like, yeah, man, like good that you are doing that. You're right. Everyone else saying you're crazy. He was saying, no, man, that's how you should do it. Yeah, keep doing it, keep doing it. And I was like, wow, this guy's pretty smart. If he's saying that, I should be doing this. And he was like putting more fuel on my gas, to be honest, like my car. And uh, when we were in contact through Facebook, I was following on his journey. He was following on my journey. He saw us like, man, I'm gonna go all the way up to California. Like, is there a spot for me? And as a host, right? I know the guy. He's gonna bring a lot of knowledge, multiple languages, right? He can speak in multiple languages, a lot of motivation. He knows how to talk with travelers and everything, right? And it was a very unique and special moment in our lives, because when he got there, it felt like an atomic bomb energy. It felt like we were both very excited, right? We were both like, man, we are away from our careers, was like 3 years or something at that time, 4 years, almost 4 years, right? And we were like, oh, like, should we go back? Like, are we ever going back to that? And we were discussing a lot. And he came, right, with a lot of different ideas because he met a lot of people. And I was living the experience, right? I learned English, and I was doing posts on Facebook trying to find volunteers, and that was the post. I was like, hey, if you want to learn, because no one knew that before. If you want to learn English, if you want to learn a language, and I think you know by now, there's no fastest way than that. I mean, you can show me whatever you want. Like the fastest way to learn English is being a hostel volunteer, right?
Mm.
And but anyways, and so he got there, and I was doing the posts. I was hiring people, right? I was getting a lot of travelers, and like, man, there's a learning experience here. It's more than just like having fun, right? Traveling, meeting people, and having fun. This is very valuable because you can learn different languages. You can meet multicultural people. You can understand countries. You can understand people, and you gain skills that you're not gonna gain anywhere else. You gain resilience, capacity of solving real problems, fast response to problems, right? Being in a discomfort situation, you don't know the language. People are talking to you, but you don't know the language. It's a pretty hard spot to be, right? A lot of people are very afraid of that. You become stronger. Your mind becomes stronger, right? So we knew that. When we look at each other, we're like, wow, like this is special. People would pay for this. I would, because I paid $1,500 for 1 month at school, and I was there for like
Wow.
3 hours. And you go there, you speak Portuguese. It's very funny. You go there. The only time I speak Portuguese was when I was going to the English school, because my roommates at a hostel, no one was from Brazil. So
Mm.
for me, it was pretty funny for me. Like, wow, I only speak Portuguese when I go to the English school. And so Ricky knew that. He knew how valuable that was, right? And we were like, oh man, we are both from the finance, right? I'm an accountant. He's a economist, right? And we're both discussing like economics, like we always do that, like from college, right? It was very a moment of wow. If a lot of problems from the world are because of lack of access to education, right? And education costs money. By connecting people to collaborate, we can make a lot more affordable. We can expand. We can get more people to experience what we experienced. Like we had our lives changed by that time already, right? We had amazing experiences. And we were more about the experience than the career. We follow the experience, right? We ended up with the skills. We realized, oh man, like this could be huge. Like at that time, we're gonna save the world, we're like, yeah. And we had a van. I left the hostel. He left the hostel also, and we both went to the van to live in the van.
Wow.
And as we were building the website, right, from scratch, at night we would talk and share experiences, and he would share his experience traveling around the world, and I would share my experiences meeting people from all over the world, and the commonalities of both, right? We're like, oh, travel is special. Like travel changes people. People should travel. Like when you go to a house, you have people from many different religions, countries. No one hates anybody there. Like it's a lovely place, right? That's when we realize people are equal. People are nice, right? Other things divide people, but people like to be together, right? So for us, it was a very special moment, and from that time on, we were 100% on it. Like we lived together for a couple of years. We lived in
Wow.
the same van. We were
Yeah,
so excited. We were very passionate. Like we're gonna change the world.
and many places that I've stayed, they didn't know volunteers, or they didn't know how well to help use the help of volunteers, as Eric was doing there. So was a big aha moment for us to see that the whole world was needing that, right? The opportunities of more people to connect. Many of our friends, they were like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky traveling for so long and living those amazing experience." But like, how can I do it? So it was not just the inspiration of ourselves, what we were living and doing, but also a tool for more.
Felt using, I mean, I was a Worldpackers volunteer, right? So I've kind of, I mean, I'm kind of the person that like you helping with your entrepreneurship and your idea, but I never felt like it was about cheap travel. I mean, I think many people would pay much more than the membership fee that is charged just for the lessons that you learn. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, you know, $1,500 for English school to not learn English versus like 49 to have all these amazing experiences. So I know that you started Worldpackers in the van, right? What were some of the non-negotiables that you established from day one? And were there any parts of the model that changed from 2014 to where it is now?
Yeah,
I would
there's a
start
lot of
with
change.
purpose. Yeah, I would start with purpose. So our purpose was non-negotiable. So we really have that feeling, that energy, and the why we're doing that. And to this day, like travel changes people, people change the world. What we're experiencing, the meaningful transformation, the meaningful connections, take it to more people. We're very transparent with each other, with the way we're building things. We believe a lot in autonomy, in the power of the people to make decisions and to experience things, to follow their passions, to follow their intuition, their curiosity. The world as a place for you to experience, to learn, learning as a way to experience, and experience as a way of learning, not just of assimilating content, but really the world as the way you go. Uh, like new skills, adding new skills and complementary skills. The vision of it's something global, it's something educational, it's something transformational. So I think to this day, the roots that we had there are still here.
Yeah, it's basically like the value of a creator, right? You need transparency. If you want to create something, if when you are 100% transparent, it speeds things up, right? We used to like be like bed to bed, working, right? Full transparency, right? You can't be. People would go to our house to work. It's our whole life there. It's not there was no work in life,
Mhm.
It was just like it is what it is, right? It's a wholly the whole thing one. So I feel like the way we saw the exchange, the way we behave on the experiences we were in, right? Just like a hostel volunteer, for example, right? You need autonomy. You need to be responsible. Trans- Transparency, right? You work with multiple people, different cultures, for example, right? Those stay the same. The mission it changed along with the product, with the positioning, with the challenge we have, but the foundation stays the same.
Yeah.
Trust, community, collaboration, something that were always very important for us, like the relationships and the community they're building. Many people they feel that they want to experience that, but they don't know where to go or who to connect or where to trust. So the idea of we helping each other and continuously improving ourselves and having those experiences in an accessible way, in an affordable way, in a way that everyone can really go and do. So not just inspire people, but offer the tools, the connections, not in terms of numbers of volume of, but in terms of quality of the relationships, to guarantee that the what you're looking for and what someone else looking for, things are transparent and you can make your own choice based on the transparency of the relationship.
Mm.
Yeah, I would
I
say I
mean,
would say from the inside of the company to the outside world, with travelers, hosts, the community, and everything. What keeps the same is that we connect people with complementary skills and a shared purpose. Just like people that are working with us at Worldpackers, right? They are complementary, but with a shared purpose, right?
mm,
This is what we do inside Worldpackers. This is how we see. We see people complementing each other. Everyone's different. We all complement each other, just like the experiences we provide with the hosts and the travelers.
Was there like a moment in the middle where you kind of doubted your mission or you doubted if it was going to work out as a company? What was that process like?
Yeah, very challenging moment was pandemic. So
Mm.
imagine the whole world, no one could travel. So that took a long time. So what would you do? Like, what would happen to travel? That was a big transformation and pivotal moment for us. That as the way we see life, on our purpose, on the values we see, uh, the crisis was an opportunity eventually for us to improve, for the company to improve, for the product to improve. We end up adding and changing things that were important. So there was a very, very tough moment, but also very pivotal in the sense of what we became after that and the opportunities that appeared on a crisis. So I don't think we ever doubted, but on these challenges and this when the road is too bumpy, we take the time to learn and to see what is for us to learn and to change right now. So eventually what we're fighting is loneliness, is like polarization, is that people are so disconnected. So especially in the online world that is so helpful for many things, especially now with AI. But like what people want is real connection, is really connect to someone who will understand them and to like-minded. So the opportunity that we have right now, more than 7 million people joined us. So as you mentioned, like a huge community, and I think it's less about managing, but it's more about showing them what is out there. So it's like what is out there, like which countries, which opportunities, how can I develop my skills, what can I learn. So, and how can I connect to someone who live that, with whom I can talk, who understands me. So that's, we felt those pains. So I think
Mm.
since we felt that pain, we are able to help as well. I think once you have a pain and you live through that, it makes you someone who it's sharing something that becomes part of who we are.
Mm.
Another critical moment, I would say, was the beginning of it. When the event was fun, right? It was right at the beginning, like all like a lot of ideas, right? We had a little bit of cash, you know. But then we moved back to Brazil. The World Cup and the Olympics were coming to Brazil. There was a huge opportunity. But then when we got things started, right, and we were having to invest not just money but our time too, right? We need to eat, we need to pay rent, right? And I had some savings. Hick had some as well. And at the beginning, I was like, oh, okay. We had a chat. I was like, hey, I have money for 6 months. And he was like, yeah, by 6 months, we are fine. 6 months passed by. We were like, no money. At that time, we had Worldpackers and three other companies that we started because
Whoa.
we need the money, to survive. Rick went to work with his brother in like some tax department or something, and I was making vegan snacks and selling on the streets. And we also had a blog that we would make content, create like content every day, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, so that for me, I remember like a lot of hard nights, like broke, no money, no way out,
Mm.
There
no
was the
safe.
surfing. There was the surfing company that we would like videos of surfing and then teach through the skills. So we had many ideas. It was an explosion
Mm.
of ideas, and we were executing. So we were working like 18 hours a day. So because we had so much energy accumulated. So and
Yeah, but
like
it was hard because like we didn't know when we were going to make any money, right?
Yeah.
You never know. That's the thing. You never know, right? But with
And how long did that take? I mean, you said you thought you would have Worldpackers up and running by 6 months. I mean, in actually, when did you actually start making money from it?
it took us 1 year and a couple months since we left the hostel to
Mm.
actually get funded.
Mm.
It was pretty hard. Like when we got like to get in our little house before the funding, for lunch, I would cook for everyone because we had no money. So I was a chef. Like, hey guys, now we are eating spaghetti. Okay, every day spaghetti. So that was for me. That was the one of the hardest, like pandemic also, but that was one of the hardest moments because uh like you faced a lot of people, right? You left your career, you left all of this behind to follow this, and now you have no idea where you should go. You have no money, you have no resources to make it happen. It gets you in a really hard spot, you know.
Mhm.
So that was hard, but yeah. As we were building Worldpackers, people started to get to notice Worldpackers. Some people were emailing us like, "Hey, I went to Europe and I've done that. I know what you were trying to do. I would love to be a volunteer there and help."
Mm.
And we were like, "Oh, all right, come over." So people would work, and at night they would go to our house to work for
Wow,
us. Yeah,
that's
so we would
amazing.
work like until 2 a.m. It was crazy.
Did those people end up, I mean, do they work for Worldpackers now? Is that kind of how you found your community?
No, no, no. Like the last one, she left to Worldpackers the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but the
Mm.
first 8 people that started working with us, they were volunteers before. So when we got funding, we hired the 8 people that were helping voluntarily and in their spare time. And in the beginning,
That's
we were doing everything manually, like all the matchmaking and like that. We learned a lot through doing things manually. We were like buying coffee, talking to investors, and partying with travelers and hosts. So doing everything was very helpful because made us learn. Many people think, for start something I need to have money or a lot of specific knowledge, but attitude, and that works for traveling, for volunteering, for entrepreneurship, like attitude and humility, as long as resilience and passion, I think are the most important characteristics that you can have.
Wow, that's truly amazing. I mean, and as we start to wrap up, I want to just look ahead for a minute. The world is changing, and especially post-pandemic, like you mentioned, how we change and approach remote work and volunteering and traveling is also changing. So I guess for both of you, what is the big picture vision? What's the ultimate dream for Worldpackers in the next 5 or even 10 years, if we could
Yeah,
think that far ahead?
yeah, great question. Great question. So after pandemic, people went remote, right? People were traveling less. If you consider any transportation as travel, people are traveling less now, right? People are alone a lot more. People are inside their house, in their comfort zone, a lot more than they were before, right? And some skills you're not gonna learn in your house, right? You need to go to the world. So now we keep the same vision. Travel changes people. People need to travel even more now. You need to make sure you go outside and do something outside, right? Because now we are so caught up on inside and with the screens and stuff that now you really need to take this serious. You really need breaks. You really need a vacation. You really need go somewhere else, do something different, follow a passion for a while, right? Because you need a break. People are anxious. So I see us expanding a lot more, creating a lot more meaningful connections with people and places around the world. Like we truly believe that connecting people to collaborate, right? It's what people will need even more now for the next 5, 10 years, right? People will grow up with a lot more screens locked in their house a lot more than before. So now we really have a message to say. We really have a mission.
Impact, I feel that the impact that we can have is just the beginning of it. So like 7 million people signed up out of a 8 billion people world, where many people like they don't know about this kind of trips, they don't know about the community, or they overheard something. So the idea of travel as an experience, not as a product, not as a travel as a way to take pictures and show to someone else, but as a way to transform the relationship with the world. Kind of when you change your lens, you change the way you see the world, you change your world, right? So you change yourself, you change the people around you. So the opportunity of offering that to more people really excites us. So growing the community, making the community very much more connected and thriving. So new products that we can offer to what people are looking at. So with more convenience, or the way everyone wants to connect and to find opportunities, so it can become like a reference, like a global reference in how a company can be at the same time high performance and focus on purpose and sustainability for ourselves, for the world. So that really excites us, what we can achieve and how we can help more people to achieving their dreams. Many companies, they are not serving like the younger generations. They
Mm.
want something more for luxury, or like what we cannot, what is luxury if not time, opportunities, and ways for you to know more about yourself. So we're really passionate on that.
That's amazing for sure. I mean, I definitely see Worldpackers as a much younger community. I mean, just based off the people that I volunteered with, it's like people ages 18 to 25, but also 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, which I think is awesome. And so you mentioned expanding. I guess my last question then is there a specific region of the world that you think Worldpackers wants to break into, or like maybe a specific country?
US, for example, is great for volunteering. Like the culture of giving back is really big in the US. People really use it to give back, to help, and to to give back eventually, right? Europe is, people really use it to go to different countries and to experience those things. Southeast Asia is a region where many people want to go right now. Thailand, Indonesia, so experience those regions. Central America. So there's so many opportunities, and people think sometimes about in terms of countries, but like I think it's really about what you want to experience, what changes are you looking at, what skills are you looking at. So I would encourage people not to be caught up on that specific destination, but in what kind of experience you want to
Mm.
have. So the world is your home. You're kind of traveling around your home. So U.S., Europe, in terms of what are people are already finding out about that, and when you look to Southeast Asia and Central America, where many people want to go, are really big avenues for us to go.
Mm. What about you, Eric? Any other?
Uh, Surfing is very popular now. Like places like Costa Rica, Portugal, Morocco, US, like Southeast Asia, Indonesia, right? And I feel that people are more towards health,
Mm.
fitness, eating health a lot more than before, right?
Mm.
I feel like people will chase experiences where the lifestyle is good. It's interest for them, right? They're more like when they go to Packers, they're looking for a lot more nature now and activities, right? And if I would say if I could pick a country so travelers can take a look on opportunities, I would say Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, but I
That's
surf too, so it's kind of biased.
yeah, I have been to Costa Rica, but I unfortunately don't surf. So, but I know Costa
Yeah,
Rica is very popular and it's very accessible as well for our listeners or viewers in the Americas. Kind of a
you
nice
see
middle.
nature. You see a lot of nature, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rick, Eric. This has been an incredible conversation. I think the biggest takeaway here is that sometimes our greatest unsatisfactions, dissatisfactions are actually a map that point us where we need to go. And both of you, you didn't just follow that, you created a new path for millions of travelers who also felt the same. So I want to thank you both for sharing your stories so honestly with us on our first episode. If you have any last comments for viewers, now's the time.
Thank you,
Uh,
Clarissa.
yeah, I would say that because often people are paralyzed, right? Oh, like what should I do, right? And try to make plans, and plans comes with questions. Questions comes with doubts, right? And to say that any step is a step. Not
Mm.
making a decision is a decision, right? I prefer to face the risks of going out than the risks of not moving at all. You know, that's what
I
I
think
would
it's
say. That's
amazing.
what happened with me. Traveling just made all aspects of my life better, even accounting. I still do accounting, but now I don't do only accounting because of my travel experience. I do other things also that I relate to, you know. So take risks, right? Being out of your comfort zone, learn, put yourself in situations you don't want to be. That's how you grow. It's just like going to the gym, right? You need to put yourself in a place that you don't want to be, and you need to push hard. That's how you expand your mind, expand your conscious, right?
Those are all
So
great examples. That's amazing. I mean, I also try to
I
go to
hope
gym
so.
as well, but that's a really great way of thinking about it. And for everyone else who's listening who feels that same spark, or maybe you're feeling stuck or scared, or you're just curious about how to travel the world more deeply, I mean, you heard it here from us. The invitation is open. Head over to worldpackers.com. You can explore thousands of opportunities in over 140 countries, and hopefully more to come soon. So be sure to follow us as well on Instagram and TikTok at Worldpackers for your daily dose of inspiration. I'm Clarissa, and this is our first journey together. Thank you for joining, and we'll catch you on the next trip.